There's a fundamental difference between collecting something because you genuinely love it and collecting something because you've figured out how to turn it into a money printing machine. One is driven by passion, patience, and respect for the culture. The other is driven by optics, leverage, and profit at scale. Logan Paul didn't simply buy a rare Pokémon card because he cared about Pokémon or collecting. He turned it into a financial instrument, and that decision is where this entire situation begins to unravel. Once collectibles stop being collectibles and start being treated like stocks, the line between investing and scamming becomes dangerously thin. And in Logan Paul's case, that line doesn't just look blurry, it looks crossed. The center of this entire controversy is one Pokémon card, a Pikachu Illustrator card graded PSA 10. In the Pokémon collecting world, this card is not just rare, it's legendary. It's widely considered the most valuable Pokémon card ever made. Only one PSA 10 is known to exist, and its value is estimated anywhere between $10 and $15 million, depending on who you ask. Cards like this are usually locked away in vaults, treated like museum artifacts, and handled with extreme care. They are not worn, not paraded, and definitely not turned into social media props. Logan did the opposite. He wore the card on a massive chain. He took it to public events. He brought it to WWE appearances. He turned it into content, and eventually, he turned it into a product. Instead of quietly owning the card, Logan co-founded a company called Liquid Marketplace around 2020. The platform was marketed as an innovative way for everyday people to invest in high-value collectibles through fractional ownership.
There are ways to spend and invest your money in ways that might mean more to you than a traditional conservative investment like the stock market. Whether it's a trading card, a piece of art, a piece of a dinosaur, like a sports memorabilia, game worn, anything.
Instead of one wealthy buyer owning the entire asset, thousands of fans could buy shares. On paper, it sounded modern, democratic, and smart. Logan listed his Pikachu Illustrator card on the platform at a valuation of $5 million. Fans rushed in. Investors poured money into it. Over $2.5 million worth of shares were sold, meaning the public now owned the majority of the card. According to Liquid Marketplace's own promises, shareholders collectively owned the card. They were supposed to share in future profits. They were supposed to vote on what happened with the card, whether it would be sold or held. Logan, at least according to the platform's structure, no longer fully owned the asset, but almost immediately cracks started forming. Users began reporting that they couldn't withdraw their money, they couldn't sell their shares, they couldn't access their funds, everything was locked behind the platform, customer support stalled, transparency disappeared. And while investors were stuck watching their money sit frozen, Logan quietly did something that changed the entire situation. He bought the card back. There was no public vote, no investor approval, no announcement. Despite having sold majority ownership of the card, Logan regained control of it for a fraction of what people had paid. Liquid Marketplace still listed a card it no longer owned. Investors had no access to the asset they supposedly owned, and they couldn't cash out their money. Meanwhile, Logan walked away with millions and began marketing the same card again for over $10 million. On its own, that's already alarming, but this story doesn't exist in isolation. It becomes much darker when you look at Logan Paul's broader history in the Pokémon space, because this wasn't a one-time mistake or misunderstanding. It follows a very clear pattern. From the moment Logan entered Pokémon collecting, he never behaved like a traditional collector. Collectors preserve value. Logan manufactured it. Every purchase became a spectacle. Every card became a headline. Every moment was designed to pull mainstream attention into a niche community. And that attention did exactly what Logan needed it to do. It inflated prices. One of the earliest red flags came when collectors started closely examining the condition of Logan's Pikachu Illustrator card. Logan has repeatedly claimed it's a flawless PSA 10, the only perfect one in existence. PSA 10 is the highest possible grade a trading card can receive. It means perfect corners, perfect edges, no whitening, no scratches, no surface damage. A card that looks untouched by time. That's why PSA 10 cards are exponentially more valuable than PSA 9s. But collectors noticed something strange. Visible whitening on the edges, scratches on the surface, where that should not exist on a true PSA 10. Some fans tried to defend Logan by claiming the damage was just on the protective case, but experienced graders pointed out that the wear appeared to be on the card itself. Things escalated when Pokémon experts like Rattle Pokémon shared old images of the same card before Logan owned it. The photos were shocking. The card was sitting next to pizza boxes, gym equipment, and random clutter, not protected or preserved like a multi-million-dollar artifact should be. More importantly, the card had been graded PSA 9 multiple times in the past. According to collectors, during a time when PSA didn't take Pokémon grading seriously and grading fees were cheap, cards were repeatedly resubmitted until grades slipped upward. Eventually, the card passed as a 10. When compared side by side with confirmed PSA 10 examples, the difference becomes obvious. Real PSA 10s look untouched. Logan's card looks handled. Logan himself made the situation worse. In one of his own vlogs, he admitted that the card had been damaged while on display at Fanatics Fest. He was visibly angry, claiming someone had damaged his multi-million-dollar card. That creates a contradiction that no amount of PR can fix. How can a card that's been damaged still be marketed as a flawless PSA 10 worth over $10 million? And this wasn't Logan's first Pokémon controversy. In December 2021, Logan announced he had purchased a sealed first edition Pokémon base set booster box for $3.5 million. He hyped it as the biggest Pokémon purchase in history. The moment was filmed, the tension was built, then he opened it and revealed G.I. Joe cards inside.
What's inside this? Legals.
Oh my god. Oh my god, bro. G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe?
That is incredible.
G.I. Joe! It could have been anything else!
The internet laughed. Logan played the victim. The clip went viral. But within the Pokémon collecting community, almost no one believed it was genuine. The box had been flagged as fake long before Logan bought it. The seller had no credible history, inconsistent stories, and obvious red flags. Experts warned it was fake before Logan ever touched it. That raises an uncomfortable question. Did Logan get scammed, or did he knowingly buy a fake box to generate attention, sympathy, and viral content? Because if you look at what followed, the answer starts to become clearer. The viral moment brought massive exposure. Logan later claimed he got a refund. The financial risk was minimal, the attention was enormous, and once again, monetization followed attention. By the time people started questioning the condition of Logan's Pikachu Illustrator card, the damage was already done. The prices across the Pokémon market had exploded, and Logan Paul sat right at the center of it. That wasn't an accident. It was the result of years of deliberate hype-building, spectacle, and mainstream exposure injected into a hobby that was never built to handle celebrity-scale manipulation. The moment Logan entered the Pokémon space, the entire dynamic changed. Collecting stopped being about rarity and history and started becoming about headlines. Logan didn't just buy cards, he announced them. He staged them, he filmed them. Every purchase came with a viral moment attached, and every viral moment dragged in a new wave of buyers who didn't understand the market.
Stunt he did with the fake, you have this fake case. Each stunt gets more and more over the top, more expensive, more dramatic. This is what he's known for doing. This is how he keeps people talking about him.
You know, I take it to the next level for content.
And coincidentally, it's always right before a big event or a product that he's getting ready to push, right? Right before a big fight, before a box break, before a crypto scam, before an NFT scam. And now it's this new drink. And it doesn't take what is essentially a fake investigation, which we'll get to in a couple minutes, in order to determine that this whole thing was a stunt to push this drink. All you have to do is watch the video. The video opens up with Logan Paul saying, "Hey, I just lost $3.5 million. Please go out and buy my drink," which is a pretty dead giveaway that they recorded this after they opened up the case. But then, a minute and 22 seconds into the video, Logan states that he's going to get his money back if the case is fake.
And I could trust that he'd refund me if things went wrong.
But trusted the personality selling it to them. This is where the line between influence and manipulation starts to disappear. When someone with Logan's reach enters a market and repeatedly tells millions of followers that certain cards are the holy grail, guaranteed investments, or better than stocks, prices don't rise naturally, they spike artificially, and that artificial inflation benefits one person more than anyone else, the person already holding the asset. This becomes even more obvious when you look at Logan's involvement with prediction and betting markets. One of the most disturbing examples came during the auction of his first edition Charizard card. Logan publicly promoted the sale while simultaneously encouraging fans to place bets on the outcome through a platform called Polymarket. People could wager money on whether the card would sell above certain price thresholds. Here's the problem. Logan owned the card. Logan promoted the betting market. Logan controlled the narrative around the card's value. And Logan had the ability to influence bidding behavior. That creates a massive conflict of interest. If Logan places a bet on the outcome and then bids on his own card, he can trigger a payout. Even if someone else ultimately wins the auction, Logan can still profit from the betting market itself.
If you know how much you're going to bid on it, if you want to create a new record sale for something, you're going to make some of your money back because you can just gamble on it. It is the most crooked, nonsensical shit, and it needs to be regulated. It's terrible. How about a nice little $105,000 discount on your purchase if you gamble on something that you're bidding on that you can control whether it goes over or under 700K. That in itself is bad. If enough people are on here, that number can increase. If you have something that sells for 700K and you're getting 100K off and you're getting a percentage from the sale itself, that's a fake comp. This is just bad. And then we have the same thing for the Illustrator in terms of manipulation. And that's not to mention the fact that there can be insider trading, insider information in terms of like, oh, I'm gonna bid over 700K. So anyone can bid on that. Now, whether or not you'd want to do that and skew your odds,
That's not speculation. That's market manipulation territory. And even if Logan didn't personally place those bets, the structure itself is deeply unethical. Encouraging people to gamble on the price of an asset you own while you actively influence its perceived value is the exact behavior financial regulations exist to prevent. But Pokémon cards aren't regulated like stocks, and Logan knew that. This is why many collectors believe Logan didn't just participate in the Pokémon boom, he engineered parts of it. By injecting celebrity attention into the space, prices rose across the board. New buyers rushed in, driven by fear of missing out. Long-time collectors were priced out. And once speculation replaced passion, Logan introduced Liquid Marketplace as the next step. Instead of selling the card once, he sold it over and over again through fractional ownership. Liquid Marketplace allowed Logan to extract value from the same asset repeatedly, first through content, then through hype, then through fractional shares. And when that platform collapsed, it left behind a trail of locked accounts, frozen funds, and unanswered questions.
we take a look at the shady terms of the platform. And then we may allow users to purchase all of the tokens associated with a certain collectible without the other token holders associated with that collectible executing a sale. Is this what happened? So the scammers on the platform. So did Logan get permission from the scammers? He's not a scammer. But the scammers on the platform gave him permission to buy out the item? Does that make him a scammer too? And then down below at the bottom, it says you understand and agree that, where enabled on the platform in our sole discretion, buyouts may allow your tokens to be purchased from you by another user at the price determined by the buyout premium, and that such buyouts may occur without you executing a sale. So they went from, we're going to auction it off, and then I guess they would have to pretend that there was more people, invested into the item itself than there actually was. But then I guess we got filings coming up here. Let's just do the emergency buyout. Fractional ownership and stuff is dumb. Calling it Liquid Marketplace is dumb because it was the most illiquid thing you could possibly put your money into, because you could never get your money out.
This is where the story stops being just unethical and starts looking potentially illegal. When regulators finally stepped in, it wasn't random. In June of 2024, the Ontario Securities Commission launched enforcement proceedings against executives tied to Liquid Marketplace. According to the OSC, roughly $3 million of investor funds were misappropriated. The money was allegedly diverted through shell corporations, hidden payments, and interest-free personal loans that were never repaid. The regulator also alleged that Liquid Marketplace sold unregistered securities. In simple terms, investors were told they owned legal shares of physical assets like Pokémon cards, when in reality, they didn't. The collectibles were marketed as authenticated, appraised, and insured, but those claims were allegedly false or misleading. Investors were exposed to risks they were never informed about, while executives benefited financially. Fines of up to $1 million per violation were recommended, along with the surrender of any gains obtained through misconduct. Yet despite all of this, one name was missing from the enforcement action: Logan Paul. That absence is what made people furious. Logan publicly referred to himself as a co-founder. He promoted the platform relentlessly.
What's up, y'all? Logan here. As an avid collector and strategic investor myself, I am so stoked to announce the launch of Liquid Marketplace, a platform where collectors can buy and sell fractions of rare collectibles via tokens on the blockchain. As a co-founder of Liquid Marketplace, I believe we're set to level the playing field by allowing anyone to own a piece of the world's rarest collectibles and build their portfolios instantly.
He listed his own card. He sold the shares. He benefited from the exposure. And yet when regulators stepped in, he wasn't named. Instead, he made a familiar promise. He said everyone would be paid back. That promise sounded familiar because people had heard it before. During the CryptoZoo scandal, Logan promised the exact same thing. He admitted fault. He thanked investigators for exposing the truth.
CoffeeZilla is not a criminal. I called him, I apologize. Step 2, we want to offer a rewards program for players who are disappointed in the status of the game. So essentially you're gonna be able to burn your base egg or your base animal for the mint price, which was 0.1 ETH or the equivalent in BNB. I am personally committing 1,000 ETH to this, which is about $1.3 million. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for how this has unfolded thus far, and I want people to know that they can trust me and that I'll always take care of the fans and people who support me. And lastly, thank you, CoffeeZilla. You have catalyzed this, and I am very grateful for your work and your investigation. And I mean that. Thank you, bro.
He said victims would be compensated. Years later, those victims are still waiting. No refunds, no closure, just silence. That's why no one believes the promises anymore. And this is where the Pokemon situation becomes especially disturbing. Logan wasn't struggling financially, he wasn't desperate, he wasn't trying to survive. He already had YouTube money, Prime money, WWE money, sponsorship money, and business revenue. This wasn't about necessity, it was about greed and control.
Someone wants to place an irrevocable bid on the Illustrator. Let me explain what that means. Ahead of the auction, someone will agree to put a pre-placed bid on the card. So if it doesn't hit that number, it gets sold to them at that number. If it goes above the number that they put, take the final sale price and their number, that difference, they get 10% of. So it's a way for someone to, it's almost like a business move. Someone did this with a fucking Birkin bag. He put a $3 million irrevocable bid on a Birkin bag. The Birkin sold for 10 million. The difference between 3 million and 10 million is 7 million. He got 10% of 7 million. So he made 700K in a night by doing nothing, other than giving the confidence that it was gonna go above 3 million. Someone apparently wants to put a $5 million irrevocable bid on the Illustrator, which I just don't. I think it's too low, so I said no. It's cool though, it's cool because like people obviously have confidence in the card.
By inflating Pokemon prices, Logan didn't just make money for himself. He destabilized an entire community. Cards that were once accessible became unreachable. Longtime collectors were pushed out. New buyers entered under false assumptions, believing Pokemon cards were safe investments because a celebrity told them so. Even now, collectors argue that the Pikachu Illustrator card isn't worth the valuations being pushed publicly. Proxy bids exist. Promotional bidding exists. Artificial demand exists. And Logan benefits from every layer of it. The higher the perceived value, the more powerful the narrative. The more powerful the narrative, the more money can be extracted. This isn't how collecting is supposed to work. By the time regulators stepped in and Liquid Marketplace collapsed, the damage was already irreversible. Even if every investor were magically paid back tomorrow, the trust that once defined the Pokemon collecting community is gone. And that loss didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of manipulation, hype-driven speculation, and celebrity influence reshaping a culture that was never meant to operate like Wall Street. Pokemon collecting used to be simple. People collected because they loved the cards, the artwork, the nostalgia, and the history behind them. Value existed, but it wasn't the point. Cards went up and down naturally based on scarcity, condition, and demand from collectors, not from viral headlines or influencer theatrics. Logan Paul changed that dynamic completely. When Logan entered the space, Pokemon stopped being a hobby and started becoming an investment vehicle. His massive platform pulled in an entirely new audience, many of whom had no background in collecting. They didn't understand grading standards, population reports, or long-term market behavior. They understood one thing: Logan Paul said it was valuable. And that was enough. That shift fundamentally altered the market. Prices skyrocketed, not because rarity changed, but because perception did. Fear of missing out replaced patience. Speculation replaced passion. Collectors who had spent years building collections suddenly found themselves priced out of their own hobby. Cards they once saved for became unreachable overnight. And while some early holders benefited, countless others were left holding inflated assets when hype cooled. That's how bubbles work. Someone always gets out early. Everyone else pays the price. Logan Paul didn't just benefit from this shift, he capitalized on it at every possible step. He didn't just own rare cards, he built narratives around them. He didn't just sell assets, he sold belief. He told people these cards were better investments than traditional stocks. He framed collecting as a financial opportunity rather than a cultural one.
I think the deal needs to be sweet. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, since I know that you want cash now, what if you can walk out of here with a check for $1.5 million?
Okay. Me walking out of here with essentially would be an advance.
Yes.
Is appetizing. This particular piece means a lot to me. The 1.5 is nice, but we know his card's going to sell for 1.5.
Of course it's going to go for more, yes.
So it may need to be a little higher.
What would make you happy walking out of here late with?
Today, right now.
Right now.
You will write the check right now.
Yes.
Got an expensive wedding. $3 million?
$3 million, I'll tell you what. What I can do and I can justify, write your check right now for $2.5 million. In fact,
this guy's crazy.
2.5 mil. You have a deal?
You are a crazy person.
I've been told that before.
I have to say, my heart tells me to do this deal with you, and so I will do the deal with you.
Great. Great.
Now give me that.
And when you do that, responsibility matters. But responsibility is exactly what was missing. The liquid marketplace collapse exposed that reality. Thousands of people believed they owned part of something real. They believed they had legal rights. They believed they could vote, profit, and exit when they wanted. Instead, they were locked out while the asset changed hands behind closed doors. The platform vanished. Funds froze. And the people who trusted the system were left with nothing but unanswered questions. Even worse, Logan's response followed a familiar script: apologies without restitution, promises without timelines, accountability without consequences. The same pattern seen in CryptoZoo played out again, just in a different industry with a different coat of paint. That repetition is what makes this situation so disturbing. Mistakes happen, but patterns reveal intent. What makes Pokémon especially painful is that this wasn't a speculative tech product or a risky digital asset. This was a cultural hobby with decades of history. A community built by collectors, artists, kids, parents, and fans who grew up loving these cards. Logan didn't just disrupt a market, he damaged a culture. Even now the effects linger. New collectors enter the space assuming Pokémon is about flipping and profit. Longtime collectors hesitate to engage. Trust between buyers and sellers has eroded. Every high-value card is questioned. Every auction is scrutinized. Every headline is met with skepticism. And that skepticism isn't paranoia, it's learned behavior. Because when people watched Logan wear a supposed PSA 10 card on a chain, watched him admit it was damaged, watched him sell majority ownership, buy it back quietly, and then resell the narrative all over again, they learned something important. That fame can override accountability, that influence can bypass regulation, and that if you're big enough, consequences become optional. That's the most dangerous lesson of all. The real tragedy isn't that Logan made money, it's that he normalized exploitation as entrepreneurship. He reframed manipulation as marketing. He turned trust into a resource to be mined, and once trust is treated like currency, it gets spent fast and replenished slowly, if ever. At this point, many collectors believe the Pikachu Illustrator card itself has become symbolic, not of rarity, not of history, but of excess, of how far things have gone, of how something once special can be hollowed out by greed and spectacle. And this is why people keep asking the same question, not just about Pokémon, not just about Logan Paul, but about the system that allows this to keep happening. How many times does this pattern need to repeat before someone with real authority steps in? How many communities need to be burned before influence stops acting as a shield? And how many victims need to be ignored before accountability actually means something? Because until that happens, this won't stop. Logan Paul isn't an outlier, he's a symptom symptom of an internet economy that rewards attention over integrity and reach over responsibility. And as long as that system exists, there will always be another hype cycle, another platform, another group of fans ready to believe. So the question isn't whether Logan Paul scammed people. The evidence is already out there. The real question is whether this era of influencer-driven exploitation will ever be challenged in a meaningful way. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more deep dives into influencer power, financial manipulation, and the moments where internet fame crosses into real-world damage, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and stay locked into Influence Circuit. Because the stories behind the algorithms are always more important than the numbers on the screen.